Shalom, shalom, everybody. It is a misty, rainy, almost on the verge of snowy evening here as the 14th day of Aviv, which is the first Hebrew month, turns into the 15th day, the first day of unleavened bread. So this is the evening in which we are commanded in Exodus 12 to eat the lamb, which I have here, along with unleavened bread, which I have here, and the bitter herbs, which for my bitter herbs I chose horseradish and parsley. And so we're commanded to eat this in Exodus 12 as a memorial of not only what happened 3,000 years ago when the Israelites were delivered from their bondage in Egypt, but also what happened 2,000 years ago when Yahshua died as the lamb. Some Christians have misunderstood, saying, well, why are you eating the lamb? Didn't Yahshua fulfill all this? We do this as a memorial. So this lamb is just pointing back toward Yahshua, the Lamb of Yah. It's not a sacrifice or anything like that. We're doing it as a memorial, as a remembrance. Because Yahshua said, Jesus said, do this in remembrance of me. And then this is a caroset. This is not commanded, but it's something I like to make. It's a mixture of walnuts, apple, cinnamon, brown sugar. And this is the sweetness of deliverance from bondage. That's what that represents. Of course, the unleavened bread, which is, you can see it has holes and it's striped. So it's pierced and striped, just like Yahshua was pierced and striped when he was crucified on the night of Passover, or on the day of Passover rather, when all the lambs are being slaughtered. Of course, the lamb represents the Lamb of the world, the Lamb of Yahshua, the Messiah, Jesus. The bitter herbs, which horseradish really makes you cry, but the bitter herbs represents the bitterness of sin. And also the unleavened bread, that it doesn't have any leaven, represents how Yahshua had no sin. So this is the Passover Exodus 12 Seder plate without all the bells and whistles. Just what the Exodus 12, and what I will do is I'll read through Exodus 12 before I eat this. Also, I wanted to point something else out that a subscriber sent to me. I'm going to post this article below the video here. But it says, saved by the blood, Israel gives the order for a nationwide Passover lockdown in stunning similarity to the first Passover and the destroyer. Israel is set for a nationwide lockdown in the lead up to the Passover holiday, according to multiple reports, with ministers expected to approve the measure Monday night, that would have been last night, after ultra-Orthodox members of the cabinet reportedly opposed applying limits only to Haredi cities. Will there be a total closure on the Seder? As it seems right now, the answer is yes, he told Army Radio. There will be strong enforcement in this regard so that everyone will celebrate the festival with his or her family only. Israel is set for a nationwide coronavirus lockdown in the lead up to the Passover holiday. The lockdown is set to take effect at 4 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon, so just before Passover begins, and to remain in force until early Friday morning. While reading the news on the Times of Israel site just now, my eye caught the top headline and it sent a chill down my spine. It read, Israel set for nationwide lockdown from Tuesday afternoon to early Friday, talking about how the entire nation of Israel will be in quarantine for the start of Passover at sundown on April 8th. On the night of the very first Passover in Egypt, the Jews were also quarantined on lockdown, waiting for the angel of death to pass by. Amazing, isn't it? Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover, and you shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. For Yahweh will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Yahweh will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you, and ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. Exodus 12, 21 through 24. So, as we've been telling you from the very first day of 2020, prophetic activity is off the charts, so much so that we see an incredible parallel between the past 3 months and the beginning of sorrows mentioned in Matthew 24. Now we have the entire nation of Israel, God's chosen people, the Jews, will be quarantined in their homes as Passover begins, just like the Jews from Exodus were so many millennia ago. The Passover with the shed blood of a lamb applied to the door is a beautiful typology for the Lamb of Yah, Yeshua HaMashiach, who shed his blood on Calvary and who is the door by which we must enter if we wish to gain entrance to heaven. This Passover, pray for the nation of Israel and pray for the Jewish people that their eyes will be open to see that Jesus of Nazareth is the Passover lamb and that his blood saves them from the destroyer. Amen. And also, I'll point out, it wasn't just on that first Passover. On the Passover that Messiah was crucified 2,000 years ago, that day and into that night, the disciples were scattered. Remember, Yahshua said that this must be fulfilled where the shepherd is struck and the sheep will be scattered. And they were scattered, and they were hiding out, and they had quarantined and locked themselves in various hiding places throughout Jerusalem. So they were also in quarantine 2,000 years ago. And then here we are in the United States. We're under, most states are under lockdown, depending on the governor, but most states are under lockdown. We're pretty much under lockdown here in Alaska for the most part. I mean, we can still go to the grocery store or go out for hikes and things, but they want us to hunker down. And isn't it amazing that it so parallels that very first Passover 3,000 years ago in Egypt, and also the Passover where Messiah was crucified 2,000 years ago. I think it's just very, very prophetic. All right, so I just wanted to leave that with all of you. Why do I do this? Why do I have the Passover? Because Jesus did it. Because it's a commandment in Exodus 12. Because Passover paints such a beautiful picture of the death, burial, and resurrection of Yahshua. This night kicks off 7 days of unleavened bread. And this upcoming Saturday night all through Sunday will be the Feast of First Fruits. It happens to be the same day that Easter falls on, but Easter has a lot of pagan origins. But the biblical feast is the Feast of First Fruits, where Yahshua is the first fruit from among the dead. And I'll have a special video on Sunday for First Fruits. All right. Yah bless you guys. Happy Pesach. Happy Passover 2020. Shalom, shalom.